question I wanted to pose to all of you is regarding the Great Resignation, which has been a trending topic for a lot of hiring leaders today. And we seem to be at a point where employers are now backfilling empty roles, but job seekers are taking into account a little bit more of what company culture is like when thinking about getting their next role. And so, can each of you speak to the different approaches that are now needed when hiring and recruiting, and how maybe network recruiting could be in addition to that? Yeah, I'll pitch it to you, Neha.
Sure. So I think it's interesting times to say the least. There's been a lot of market fluctuation and obviously a lot of shifts in the talent market, particularly in tech. So I appreciate you kicking us off with this question. I think companies really need to be intentional. We hear it all the time, but really have a focus on understanding where the gaps are in your team right now, but also thinking about where your gaps might be in the long term, and really working together with your recruiting team, but also with your hiring manager. So leaders really need to get together there and plan in advance, and we don't want to see things like layoffs happening, right? Nobody wants to be in that spot, but there is quite a bit of planning, I think, that goes into that. So with regards to network recruiting, I think it's a really interesting opportunity to go beyond the typical referral program, since there's a lot of bias potentially. Your employees are likely going to be looking at their inner circle or who they know well in
Mhm.
terms of pitching a referral or making a recommendation. And so network recruiting allows you to look beyond your referrals, or it really takes, it takes a bit of agency, or it allows the recruiting team to have more agency over who they spot in somebody's network versus relying on that employee and their biases, that where they might only be looking at their inner circle. And so I think that's also really interesting in terms of having a lens on DEI and wanting to achieve our diversity goals. So I think, there's this opportunity here for companies to unlock a network beyond what a employee might initially present as a good referral.
That makes sense. Jen, I saw you shaking your head. Did you want to add?
Was I shaking my head, or am I just a very expressive listener? I was probably agreeing, actually. I'll mention this because I'm guessing the audience, the last year or so, if you've been alive, we've heard a lot about the Great Resignation. I think I approach this from, and I am aware for my kitten in the background, so it's not too distracting, but he's very cute. Okay, the Great Resignation. I think to me, it's a way of really shifting the power dynamic from blaming the candidates to candidates taking the power back.
Mhm.
We're only speaking to truths that I think were underlying but not talked about, which is companies suck at hiring. Companies have been treating candidates badly for a really, really long time, and candidates didn't feel empowered to really speak about it. They were internalizing a lot of that blame. Like, I guess I'm a bad person because I got rejected.
Yeah.
Because of the pandemic, because of the political and climate changes, what's really changed is like, wait, maybe I'm not the problem when there's a lot greater forces going on.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, the conversation about the Great Resignation is an opportunity for companies, the ones who really care and have their eyes open to the situation, to say, in this landscape, there's an opportunity to really become the best company possible by grabbing this unfair share of talent that's available for the first time. And to do that, it's not going to be by using the old playbook.
Mm-hmm.
What we're going to do is a new thing, which is actually taking the responsibility as leaders, as hiring managers, as founders, as recruiters. What can I do better to really meet the candidates where they're at? And I know we'll get a lot into this, but the side question about how does network recruiting play into this? I think network recruiting will be interesting because if we are by default not treating candidates very well, but as companies we're allowed to get away with it, referrals are the one place we are not allowed to get away with it.
Mm.
But we'll speak more about this later.